Coachella used to be about the music. Now it feels more like a content farm. Every outfit is an ad. Every party is a branded invite only. And the whole thing feels like less of a festival and more of an industry mixer for influencers. I feel like most people are aware of brand deals and partnerships, but I don't think we all understand just how deep it goes. Coachella became such an iconic event that brands couldn't help but insert themselves. It's not Coachella anymore. It's BRANDCELLA. Let's talk about influencer culture and how it's shaped the event. To put it plainly, it's just not about the music anymore. Let's go back to OG Coachella. The first ever Coachella Valley Music Festival took place in 1999. That's almost 25 years of Coachella. In the early years, headliners were amazing. They got the Beastie Boys, The Cure, Radiohead, Weezer, Oasis, huge names, and general admission was still only $50 a pop. You could get a 2-day wristband for like $85. Imagine that. I don't want to make that tired point about, oh, concerts were more fun without phones. But these images are pretty striking. It's not a sea of models or people trying to look their best for an Instagram photo. People are just wearing t-shirts. They look like normal people enjoying a concert. It looks way more low-key and more enjoyable, in my opinion. 2025 has been the most expensive year for Coachella yet, with tickets starting at $649 for just one weekend in general admission. And that price doesn't even include the shuttle into the desert. Everyone knows once you get into the festival, you're gonna be paying an arm and a leg to get basic necessities like snacks, water, and basic accommodations.
See if you can guess the price. First up, we've got probably the most viral food photo from the festival. These two delicious looking breakfast burritos purchased with some cucumber water. That was the entire order. The price for this, $64. What a great deal.
According to Billboard, more than half of the festival goers in 2025 purchased their tickets with some sort of payment plan. This means roughly 80,000 people went into debt in order to attend Coachella this year. Festival debt is a real thing.
Did you use a payment plan to afford a Coachella ticket?
I'll be so honest, I couldn't imagine going into debt. Short term, you can rationalize, and for that moment, you can feel, oh, this is good, this is okay, I'm not really spending a lot of money, but it always comes back.
We're here at the Coachella Safari Campgrounds. Costs between $10,000 to $30,000 for a 4-night stay.
So Coachella isn't cheap, but what makes it worse is that most of the people posting from the festival didn't even pay to get there. They got paid to be there. For influencers, this festival is not a weekend off. It's more like a fully scheduled campaign. There are deliverables, timelines, outfit changes between sets, and sometimes they even make you sign an NDA. It's not exactly your grandmother's music festival. It became a content farm. It may not be surprising to you that Coachella is the most Instagrammed festival of all time. I feel like most people are aware of brand deals and partnerships, but I don't think everyone understands just how deep it goes. Sometimes it's really hard to tell when an influencer is making a secret ad. All those what I wore to Coachella TikToks are usually a paid deliverable, even if they don't mention the brand by name. This may just be one influencer in a matrix of influencers, carefully curated to give the impression that everyone's wearing a certain brand or a certain style to Coachella this year. And they do this without ever overtly stating it. Brands intentionally work with a large batch of influencers all at once to give the illusion of ubiquity. And it doesn't stop at clothes. It's makeup, jewelry, skincare, and even that bag that the influencer is wearing just for like 12 seconds in a video. Everything is part of the content strategy. Basically, they're not dressing for the festival anymore. They're dressing for the brand deck. The thing is, I don't think there's anything morally wrong with brands coming to Coachella to make ads. Creators deserve to be paid. It's just when brands enter our culture so pervasively and so subtly, it becomes really hard to tell where the authenticity ends and the marketing begins. The best type of ad for a fashion brand is one that doesn't register as an ad to its audience, even though technically that's illegal. The Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC, is the regulatory body in charge of making sure that there's transparency when creators are being paid, gifted, or otherwise compensated by a brand. They're supposed to be protecting the consumer from this gray area. You're supposed to use hashtag ad or hashtag sponsored, but this rarely happens. You'll see it sometimes when there's a high production cost, only in those like highly curated, obviously an ad type of scenarios. But it really doesn't happen often.
The lawsuit alleges that Revolve is running an entire scheme with influencers. Be very clear that the law states that you need to be extremely transparent. There should be no question if or if not someone is getting paid to promote something.
But enforcement is tricky, and the line between what's sponsored and what's not is extremely blurry. When this happens, brands get the power to quietly shape our preferences, our tastes, and even our real-life experiences without us even knowing it's happening. And I wouldn't blame the influencers, because all that curated content is a very intentional push from brands. We're far past PR packages. Brands are building a cinematic universe in the Coachella Valley Desert with villas, parties, gifting lounges, and photo ops. The list goes on. So let's talk about the real stars of Coachella 2025. The brands. Brand houses are a common accommodation for influencers at Coachella. This year, brands like White Fox Boutique, Revolve, and Pepper Mayo rented these luxury villas for a select group of influencers. But the catch is they still have to work. Some influencers don't even make it to the festival because after a long day of shooting content, they're probably too exhausted to even go. They might snap a pic and be like, I love Lady Gaga, but that's probably where it ends.
People leaving Coachella. Honestly, this is probably before, Lady Gaga even gets going.
It kind of reminds me of all the nice things that Google offers their employees in office. Free meals, massage rooms, fitness centers. Except they aren't offering these perks out of the kindness of their heart or because they want to be like the most fun place to work. They're doing it because they know that it'll keep you at their office as long as possible. And the longer they're at the office, the more productive you tend to be. These brand houses ensure that the accommodation for their influencers feels like a content playground. They basically live on a set for the weekend with access to a glam squad, in-house chefs, cleaners, I'm sure. I'm sure going to Coachella as an influencer is really fun, just not fun for the reasons you'd think you would want to be at Coachella. Because nothing about the influencer experience has anything to do with music. Then you've got the invite-only brand parties, which again is the brands centering the narrative of Coachella around their company instead of the hardworking artists on stage. These are ultra-curated activations hosted by brands like 818 Tequila, Celsius, and Rhode Skincare. Technically, the parties are off-site and separate from Coachella, but they generate just as much hype. Coachella is a sellout, not just because they sold all their tickets, but because they sold out its values of the festival in order to please brands, allowing Revolve to be the center of the conversation that's supposed to be about the musicians. The culture around the festival has completely shifted. On the one hand, you've got influencers flown in, staying at luxury villas and getting paid to be there. And on the other hand, regular fans are going into debt in order to stand in insane heat and catch a glimpse of their favorite headliner. There's a clear divide now, not just about who gets in, but why they're there. I gotta be a diva for this part. The festival class divide. If you're not on the PR list, Coachella can be pretty brutal. And if you're feeling any amount of FOMO for not being at Coachella this year, let me fix that for you right now.
In case anybody's wondering how car camping is going at Coachella,
A huge story of weekend one this year was that campers had to wait 12 hours in traffic to get into the festival. 12 hours just to get into the campground. That's from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with no shade, no bathrooms, and no updates from the festival about when the hell would end. People ran out of gas and had to jump out of their car to go pee in the grass near other people in their cars. It was a mess. Just sitting in your car, baking in the heat. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous. And these people paid probably $1,000 because they're paying for the ticket to get in, a space for their car to camp, and the taxes and fees. I can't imagine paying $1,000 and then getting stuck in that.
The journey to the iconic music festival's campgrounds turned into a parking lot.
Apparently, people were demanding refunds before the gates of Coachella even opened. It takes place in the desert, so of course the heat is a struggle. This video actually reminded me of Fire Festival.
First meal at Coachella, I am not doing well. I'll tell you that much right now. People made it look so easy. Me and my best friend are not doing well.
Why are we okay with this? For an event of this scale, with millions of dollars in revenue, Why are the conditions for the actual fans so uncomfortable? It's not worth it to me. Maybe I'm just not a festival person. You can even see VIP artists being shoved around in crowds. It feels like the only people being treated like VIPs at Coachella are the influencers, and they don't even get to see the performances. Is Coachella still cool? Once something gets commercialized at this level, it kind of loses its cool factor. And I think they hit its heyday during the 2010s when bohemian fashion was at its height. At this time, Coachella was more about outfits than the music, but I think it was still a pretty fun time. But today, it's more about photos of outfits, which just feels a little too far removed from the music to feel like the initial spirit of what Coachella was supposed to be. The idea of Coachella is more valuable than the actual experience. The idea of Coachella can sell clothing and makeup across the country. To be fair, the lineup this year was incredible. And while I'm not jealous of the porta potties and the 12-hour waits to get into the campgrounds, I am jealous of everyone who got to see Lady Gaga. There's still something magical about a bunch of people gathering in the desert, all surrounded by common interest in music. And honestly, we're lucky to have had so many iconic performances over the years. But the version of Coachella that we romanticize is gone. Who knows what the next big cultural moment will be? Whatever it is, let's keep it close to the chest and keep the brands out of it. Are you a festival person, or are you like me and prefer to watch the performances on YouTube or the best parts of the performance on TikTok? Leave your answer in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to hear me talk more. Thank you for watching. See you next week. Oh my God. I hope that gave you a little ASMR. You know, Coachella.